contractors. So this guy, Indian, owned the company for 20 years out of DC. He scored early in government vehicles. He only does state and local and government, which I have not touched forever. It's a complete different ballgame in our town. So I'm completely not in that business. But that's all they do. These are fancy words, government words, GSA, state, local, that apparently these contracts, he said, are very, very valuable. Now, his revenues, you can see my revenues are $5 million, and I make, you can tell the profits on these $20 million that he's going to do this year, he's making $800,000. So I'll make a fraction of that to get that 800.
So he's 4 times bigger than you?
Correct, yeah.
Is his profit 4 times?
I'll be at around 3. So he's making about 3 times more. Yeah.
Not a Penn Stater.
2.5 times more. Right. So now they weren't making any money a few years ago. Then his father is in real estate now. So his son is running this business. He's 75 years old. He's basically tangentially kind of watching. He saw things go to zero. He jumped back in. The father to streamline the operations again, and the son is in there, understands all of this. Because keep in mind, Red Zone I don't have a clue about government stuff. So this is what I sold. He wants to sell. The father wants to sell. The son wants to stay involved. So I've got 2 sales to make there. The father said he wants $6 million for the business plus $500,000 of working capital. I'm assuming he wants to strip when he says that he wants to strip the $500 of working capital. That's my assumption. 6.5 total that he wants. So I met with him. I don't have any agreements in place with the father yet, but he knows that I said I'm going to talk to my board about this and come back with some ideas. But this would be my bolting on to as a division, the government division.
Okay, now when I misread your deal there, when you said government contracts, you meant this as a bolt-on. You didn't mean you were going to go pursue individually, just in name government contracts.
This would be the government division.
Okay, I got you now. Okay, go ahead.
So these guys tackle all of the fancy bids and proposals and all the work and all the stuff that goes in. That's what they do. But they don't do security. So I'm finding that a lot of these guys don't do security, and it's hard for them to penetrate it. We've been doing it so long that it's what we do.
Okay, and by security you mean cybersecurity. Cybersecurity, not physical security.
Cyber. So he would bolt our offering onto his government contracts potentially. I mean, these are all potentialities. The real thing for the revenue is that they go after government deals. That's their.
Now, of that $20 million, how much of that is government? All.
State and local and federal, DOD.
10%, 2 million, 5%. So I mean, his net margin is less than 5%.
Yeah.
Am I reading these right?
This is his. Yeah, I mean he's.
It's an Indian, right? Gave you numbers. An Indian gave you numbers.
Those are the right numbers, though.
Yeah, but you're right.
We were wondering whether we should tell you it's Indian.
But Bill is a numbers guy. He would have to give that to an Indian. You wouldn't just.
I mean, don't be racist, Jesus Christ. I mean, God Almighty, from a black minority comes racist remarks. I mean, shit. Okay.
No, but it is true. You have to give people numbers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm pleasantly surprised those look, reasonably well put together. Whether they're accurate or not, as Spiller said, whether they just pull them out of his ear. But that's a low margin for government contract.
That's very common in IT. They're usually it's a lot of competition, and there's not.
I'm sure there is
not a lot of margin in the business. So that's
now, has he walked you through the bidding process, how he got the contract in and all that?
We're still that's the son. I got to find out how much the son really knows. I'm assuming he's 35. He's been there 10 years. I'm assuming he knows, but that there's 2 sales I have to make, because if the son walks away, I don't know how to run this business.
Yeah, the thing is that his father's still alive, right?
Yeah, but he's doing development. He's doing.
Yeah, but if push comes to shove and you really need to know something, you'd have to go through the son. I mean,
is that just too low to even pursue?
No. Because the government, I'm surprised it's that little business. 20 million. I did 50 million government contracts my first year.
Right.
I mean, so.
But your margin was low. You only.
I know. What I'm saying is, but if I was still doing those, I'd probably be doing 5 billion. And even at low margin, I mean, the joke used to be, we'll make it up in volume. I mean, because it's hard. If you've got if you've got 500 million of government contracts, it's hard not to make money. First of all, you wouldn't bid the 11th, 12th, and 15th year if you're not making any money. Unless you were English, actually, and actually then you might still do it because you want to be considered a gentleman.
For the Queen, yeah.
Yeah, for the Queen.
Oh my. So if we do the 2 to 5 time QLA model on earnings projected, and he's solid. I met with him in December 1st. He said these aren't going to change. His net's going to be 7, and he's grown. I mean, this was 0 just 4 years ago, but he's had this company quite a few years. But 7 times 5 is 3.5 million. So even at the top end, he wants 6 plus 500 grand.
That's double, not double, but almost double.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's what they start at. You always start, remember?
Oh yeah, that means you can buy it for $250,000 at the end, right?
That means you're throwing your Jaguar and 50 grand and it's yours.
And he's going to come back and say how these contracts are worth so much, and then with it.
Yeah, but okay. The questions are these yearly contracts, twice a year contracts, or the government does have 3 and 5 year contracts. Those are the jewels in the crown, but most of them aren't. But if these are yearly contracts, he's worth, the contracts are worth 1 times 7.75 of 1 times revenue. 7.7, call it 1 times revenue, it's easier. But I mean, most of these contracts are going to be yearly, and they're not worth much. Now, if he shows he's had the same contract 11 years in a row, but he probably won't be able to show you that. And then also how they break down. Okay, state, local. I mean, are these on the state? Are they municipalities, or what are they for? What's it selling? It's all IT, right?
It's all IT. I think it's a combination. You know why this is? Because he's only got 2 human beings placed in a government agency. So labor, he's as a staffing company. He's only got 2 people. The rest is hardware, software he's passing through. So I don't even think they have services capabilities to add more margin. I think that's part of the reason why it's so low. Is he's doing hardware and software, which is really low margin. I think if he was doing more staff augmentation and putting people, he'd probably have a higher margin because you're billing hourly rates, which is just much better margin.
So in theory, of that 20 million, he got 10 $2 million contracts, or what does he have? How's it break down?
I didn't ask him. Yeah,
I didn't
ask him. That's a great question.
The breakdown is important. And how long he's had the contracts. Who are his in the government? I mean, which facets of the government? Is it the DOE? Is it the energy? Who is it with?
Yeah, I'll ask. One of them is DOD. I think one is NASA.
Okay.
I'll confirm all these.
Well, that sounds good, but that doesn't mean it pays well.
Yeah.
So his revenue is increasing every year. So is he winning those extra contracts to take that revenue up? If his margins are so tight, he can't be making an extra 2 million on the existing contracts.
You can see right here, his hardware, software, etc. is 14 million.
Yeah.
14, 18. He's just cranking hardware, software, but he's really lean. I think he keeps bragging about how lean his company is because he's not carrying a lot of overhead of staff. Look, he makes his cost of goods, that's 1 million of people labor, and he's at 14 million of hardware, software.
So less than 10%.
Yeah, 2 million of people, 15 million of hardware resell. Yeah, it's a very small amount of people. I'm in the reverse in my company.
Right.
I'm more people and process than I am. I do hardware, software, but it's not as a percentage.
And you have close to
He's 90% hardware, software.
What does that mean, hardware, software?
It's basically he's just selling this stuff, which is the lowest margin. There's no value. There's value if you get the lowest bid. So, but it's going to be 2-3% margin, and the vendor plays you in the back end. So
because it's just a commodity.
He'll go to Hewlett Packard, and Hewlett Packard say, "I'll give you this deal at 2%, which is no money." But on the back end, they'll pay him 5%, which will give him a 7% spread. But look right here, 90%. I didn't even notice that, and then he's only 11% services. So that's why he's got such a low margin.
So
It doesn't make it bad.
okay, no, okay. So you buy this, and you can make it for some way. You can make a deal. How does that add to your equation?
It's well, if we go down government, then it's an instant gateway into government.
Correct.
So now I can then package his services and his relationships, because it's all relationships in these contracts, and I can sell security services on top of what they already do. So there's his team, his son can then package security services into government deals. So it opens up their ability to have more service offering.
Well, but you haven't looked at trying to do the cybersecurity contracts by yourself yet. You haven't done
Not
it?
in government now.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, because you've been around 17 years, and you'll have, and let's say you're in the top 10 bidders, I will guarantee you 75% of those bidders have been in business less than 3 years. And so they don't have to take the top bid in a government contract. Depending on the department, you can take any of the top 3, even to the top 10, and they can pick. And so I would think that you would have a distinct advantage just for the fact that you've been around 17 years.
Just like the KKR.
Correct.
Deal, right? Yeah.
And the brand name, these guys have been around 25, so their brand, so it could be that brand powered by Red Zone.
Well, no, I'm talking about without their brand, just with
Just
your
with
brand.
us.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
just me alone.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you got to look at it. You know, you don't know what you don't know, and you haven't looked at it yet. But and one of the things that I want you to do, I want you to go to the government website tonight.
Okay.
And look up cybersecurity contracts, and both on the U.S. and the U.K. sites. I've only pulled them up on the UK sites because he had UK guys here, but I know they're on the US sites. I've just never done it. And see what's available. And the Sikh that came in to see me, although he wasn't doing cybersecurity, he said, Dan, there's contracts every day. This is the UK. Every single day the British government is putting something out to bid. And that's normally means because somebody's failed. Okay, and so now
So they stop it in the middle.
Correct.
And somebody has to finish it off.
Correct.
That happens in Head Start. People are called, the government, they say we have 250 million, we need somebody to come and take over this.
And they're looking for one-titted, one-eyed black women, right, to do it.
That'd be a good deal.
Good
That would be a
leverage, though. I mean, that means they're pseudo desperate, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And the federal government and the British government are both the same. And if they don't spend it, they lose it. That means next year's budget. And the last thing any of these bureaucratic guys and gals want is for them to have a lesser amount to spend, because the pecking order is how much money they get to spend.
Yeah. And the other thing is, don't go to the Native American lands, because the tribal deals are awful.
Now don't get racist. Now you're being racist against my brothers and Native Americans. Oh my Lord, I can't believe it.
No, but it's hard. It's hard because of the cultural issues.
I know it's hard. I mean,
You just
you
don't go and arrive someplace and decide you're going to be almighty somebody. You really need to look at the culture of the people and
don't get all PhD on us now. Don't get all PhD on us.
So they're desperate to get it done, and they need to spend more than they should.
Yeah, and then
That's a wet dream.
Yeah, that's a perfect scenario. But I would look at them. If you can buy this right, fine. But I would look at the scenario. I know you're looking for a way because you don't have the expertise. I understand that. Okay, and they do. But I'm here to tell you, I don't believe you need a lot of expertise. And that's why I only had 3 government contracts. That's true. And it was a long time ago. But I had 0. I didn't even have 0. And I've shown you 3 guys in the Hall of Fame that had less than 0. And I was on the donkey end of making the money. Those guys made the hundreds of millions. One of which was in security, not cyber. And you were overestimating the difficulty and underestimating your own talent. And you're grossly underestimating your 17-year track record with the government. I had not 17 hours.
So technically, you could basically hire a guy for 150 and say, "Go get."
Oh, 100. I didn't even know you could say 150 out of your mouth. I mean, I didn't know you could say that. I mean,
It's all less than $6 million.
okay, yeah, that's exactly right. It's less than $6 million.
That's easy for me.
Yeah, but I mean, that sounds like I would get as much information as I can from these guys, which
Okay.
you're already starting to do. And this is a good. They're all good for different reasons. This is a good thing to discuss with the group, and of course everybody not everybody resonates with. In case he's watching, him. You know, and you can just see the broom.
Hey,
Yeah.
that?
yeah, it's another
I'm
problem.
disappointed that it may not be a good idea to, but I'll do what I can.
But it's quite amusing to see the shit that you see that come through here over the years. It's quite amazing. Yeah, but I mean, it sounds good. They want too much money, but they always want too much money. You know, and the especially since is 100% of the shares owned by the dad.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. He had this thing valued 2 years ago at $2.5 million, and then he decided to jump in, and he wanted more money than 2.5. He had a private equity firm value it, but it was worth nothing. He was just coming off a 0 year,
Right.
and so now he's taken 2 years to build it, and so he doesn't want to see anything around 2.5. But the difference between 2.5 and 6 is too much.
Oh wait, he tried 2.5 and he got 0 for it.
Yeah, it was 2 years ago. So now he's got much stronger earnings. So, and so my final deal is this one here that I'm looking at. This company is a company out of that gray line is their monthly managed. Remember, my managed is 170 now. I want to get that to 263. So buying this company immediately increases my managed. They have a little less than $2 million. So about $160,000 a month. I haven't looked at it deeply in the books. This came from a broker. I contacted him on LinkedIn, the owner. The owner had already signed with the broker. So he said, you got to talk to Jay. And so Jay, I had them all sign NDAs, but the broker is really running this now because the owner signed his life away with this broker. So they do about 548 EBITDA. I said, well, how much will it take for the company? He said 1.3 to 3.3 was kind of the range. 1.3 based on
That's a big spread.
based on the deal structure. He said the broker's like, based on whether it's cash, whether it's an earnout, I'll take, the owner will look between 1.3 and 3.3. I think that was the range. And
Well, 1.3 would be 2.6 times EBITDA or something like that.
What was the?
sorry, 1.7 to 3.3.
1.733. And it's 548 EBITDA.
548 EBITDA. And there's a strong, this component here, which means they're already at the managed, which is really important. They've switched. Unlike the other company, these guys are selling monthly contracts. So my monthly is 170 a month. And that's my managed security contracts. I'm going to grow that to 260. This could be an interesting bolt-on again because they're already there. Then I just have to add my security services on top. But they're already doing some security right now. So this is an interesting opportunity.
Acquisition. This would be an acquisition.
Yeah, because my 30 employees, they'd be, I think it's 12 employees coming in. So it's in a geographic area in a part of Maryland, which I just normally don't go to. It's about 2 hours away. So it's nice, from a geographic coverage, I can get to them.
Do these guys do exactly what you do, or is this an additional?
They're close. They're close. Yeah, it's not too far. It's like it's not like a Ferrari and a Honda dealership. I'm like, we're closer together. So my stuff is going to be different a little bit than them, but not much. He's got someone in place that can run it. So the CEO has a guy there that's now the acting CEO.
Mm-hmm.
So I could, as long as I wrote that new guy in, I'd have a manager to run it. So that's good as well. So they're not so small that I have to kind of get in there every single day and run it myself. So it's an interesting deal as far as what we're trying to do. Because it's very tightly aligned to growing that managed, but also adding the acquisition at the same time.